So, good morning, everyone. Today's topic will focus on pathogens that are not considered living things. So, they're not made up of cells. So that's our category when we define living things. Although there are some biologists who consider virus as a living thing, the consensus, if we categorize living things as made up of cells, then a virus is not considered a living thing. And these are just the virus, or is one of cellular pathogens, and there are others as well that can cause disease. So we will talk about them in this lesson. Okay, so one of the more well-known diseases that that is causing fear uh, among many is the Ebola virus. Why is it dangerous? Because if it is untreated, within 10 days you can die from this disease. So the death rate, the fatality rate is around 90%. So there's a large chance that if someone catches the Ebola virus, they will die. And there was an outbreak in 2014 in Africa, and it's the first large scale outbreak. And because of the uh, speed at which the disease will wreak havoc in the body, uh, it's it does not spread. It did not spread outside Africa, but there was a U.S. doctor here who caught the disease, and fortunately, through advanced medicine, so he was treated with steroids and other medical remedies to slow down the progress of disease. And then with full PPE, with the level 4 body protection, he was brought to the US for further treatment. No, so that's the first case of uh, someone with Ebola being in the US. So that scared a lot of people, and this became headline. But the doctor survived because of advanced medicine, advanced medical technology. So ever since we know of the we know that how virus spread disease, it has been the fear of many governments, uh, how to contain such epidemics. So even without epidemics, they have protocol in place, and that protocol came about when you had the COVID-19 situation uh, happen to throughout the world. So there are some governments that are more prepared than us. Uh, so that came out in the number of people who died. So for those in East Asia, especially Japan, Korea, and China, and especially Taiwan. Taiwan was I think, most ready for the COVID-19 disease. They were able to respond well because there are already other epidemics uh, that took place. And when COVID-19 started, uh, Taiwanese scientists were already studying the progress of disease, and they were able to uh, to alarm to set systems in place because they figured this COVID-19 in China was going to spread throughout the world. So they were able to contain COVID-19. Unfortunately, although the response of the Chinese authorities they were able to uh, stop the spread of the disease. The problem is perhaps they uh, they lack transparency, and I think this led to more deaths than usual. So by the time they announced it, it already spread throughout the world, and the first cases in the Philippines were, I think, it didn't come from China, so some already came from Singapore and also Japan. So by the time the outbreak has been announced that it came from Wuhan, it already spread throughout the world. So so that's a lesson for us, right? We have to learn how to respond to these situations. So as future nurses, you have to understand how epidemics work, and how to respond to it. So public health measures have dramatically reduced mortality from viral epidemics. So because of these outbreaks, there are already policies. Uh, However, due to politics, some governments may respond better than others. So New Zealand are good examples of how they were able to suppress they were able to limit the number of fatalities from COVID-19 because they were able uh, to communicate with the population, and they were able to uh, place procedures so that there will be limited deaths from COVID-19. Okay, so there were other epidemics as well. In 2009, there was an outbreak of H1N1 influenza. So the H1, uh, you have these spikes in the proteins of the influenza virus. Uh, this basically uh, gives the influenza virus its variant. So yung merong H1N1, may H2N3, etc. So H1N1, this H1N1 virus is actually uh, uh, already it has already spread throughout the world in 1918. So ito yung tinatawag na Spanish flu. Kaya siya Can you still hear me? Naglalag pa ba? Hello?
Hindi na
Kanina
po.
po, sir. Kanina lang po. Ngayon,
Sabihin mo sabihin niyo sa akin pag naglalag, I'll try to uh, explain again kung naglalag. So itong H1N1 is actually a recurrence. So 1918, I was um, narrating to you what happened in 2018. So meron sa Spanish flu. Yung Spanish flu, kaya tinawag siyang Spanish flu. The reason is this happened during World War One. So during World War One, no, so siyempre nagkakagulo na yung mga countries, and the governments were were suppressing the were suppressing news about this disease. So hindi nabalita sa mga countries. Yeah, sa Spain lang ang medyo free yung press to give details about this disease. So sa Spanish press lumabas yung balita about this epidemic. So kaya tinawag siyang Spanish flu. Pero there are hypotheses that it actually came from the US. So dapat American virus kung if we follow the the origin. Pero the WHO is trying to remove yung mga ganong klaseng names kasi nga nagkakaroon ng stigma. So instead of saying this is the Spanish flu, this is the uh, you know, instead of saying the name, you'll just stick to the spike proteins that define the variant. So here we have the H1N1 in 2009. So it's the same variant no 1918, which killed around I think 3 million people. So wala pang commercial flights no. So imagine uh, if that happened today proper without the proper health protocols with all the commercial flights, mabilis mag-spread yan. Okay, so it's good that we have policies in place in case of epidemics. So yeah, in 2014, uh, this happened. There was an epidemic in Western Africa, and there was a doctor who was infected, and he was brought to the States. Okay. Okay, so until 1930s, yung concept ng virus is it's not yet it was not yet seen with the naked eye. Oh, sorry, not seen through the light microscope, no. So hindi pa na-invent yung electron microscope. So hindi pa ganun kaliit yung virus, no. So you need the electron microscope. So before that, no one has seen the virus. But yung mga disease, mga epidemics was already widespread. So one of these diseases was smallpox. So I've talked about this disease before. So chances of surviving is very small. And Edward Jenner, he noticed that those uh, with a certain disease called cowpox do not have do not contract the smallpox disease. So he uh, did a technique where he deliberately uh, infected people with cowpox in
Sir,
order.
naglalag po.
Okay, naglalag pa ba? Okay na? Okay na? Hindi naglalag?
Okay na po ulit.
Okay, so I explained during the first lecture, no, yung ginawa ni Edward Jenner is the smallpox. So he noticed that those with with cowpox do not contract the smallpox disease. Now yung cowpox, chances of survival mataas. Can you guys hear me? I don't know why, I don't know. My connection is unstable tuwing Friday, but it has worked well in other sessions. Okay na ba? Naglalag ba?
Okay na po, sir.
Okay, so continuing, ayun, so as I've explained, no, uh, Edward Jenner noticed that those with cowpox didn't have weren't able to contract the smallpox disease. So he concluded na if I deliberately infected these people with cowpox, hindi sila magkakaroon ng smallpox. Okay? So yung from the word yung cowpox, no, ginamit niya yung uh, term na vaccination. So that's from the Latin word yung sa baka, 'di ba? So sa atin din baka din yung tawag natin sa cow. So yun. So yung term na vaccination came from that uh, deliberate uh, infection of patient. So yung inoculation na ginagawa, actually there were evidence may evidence naman na ginawa na siya previously, pero yung kay Edward Jenner yung mas uh, well documented. So yung technique na yan called variolation. So you're inoculating the uh, people with another disease para hindi magkaroon ng deadly disease. Okay, so that's the first known vaccination, and we have been doing uh, ever since yung vaccination technology have been uh, well established. Pero yun nga, dahil delikado rin tong vaccination, no? So kailangan may mga protocols in place. Kaya matagal yung development ng vaccine, especially for ano, kasi delikado tong vaccines kung hindi tinitingnan yung results or the effect of it over several years. Kaya matagal yung development. However, for COVID-19, dahil infectious siya, so malaking bagay kung may vaccine agad para ma-prevent yung spread. Hindi katulad ng halimbawa dengue. Dengue is not transmittable through uh, through infection kasi ang nagdadala ng dengue is mosquito. So hindi yan transmittable from person to person. So hindi siya ganun ka-urgent. Unlike this communicable disease like COVID-19 or measles, importanteng magkaroon ng vaccination. Kasi ano yan eh, exponential effect eh. If one person is traveling and then goes to another town, mag-spread yan around. So one person is capable of infecting a million people if the person keeps moving around. Unlike yung dengue, mosquito lang yan eh. So, nandun lang sa location na yung sakit na yon. So, if a person travels outside that town, he will not infect other people. So, importante yung vaccination dito sa COVID-19. And yun nga, kaya bumaba yung rate ng deaths is because we have nagkaroon ng vaccination throughout the world. Okay, so virus are very small, so they are not visible with light microscope. So kailangan pa yung invention ng electron microscope to see this substances. So yung first naka-filter ng virus, although he hasn't really studied it well. He didn't know it was hindi pa niya alam kung ano itsura, pero he was able to filter a component smaller than a bacteria uh, in plants, no? So merong disease na tobacco mosaic disease. So this was a disease that harmed plants. So hindi naman bacteria yung cause, and na-notice niya na meron silang system na nag-filter, no? And it was smaller than a bacteria. So yun, continued the studies about this disease. Eventually, you have Pijering, who concluded na it must be a toxin, no? So it's a biological poison. So na-coin yung term na virus because it's so the scientists thought that it was a toxin to describe the cause of the tobacco mosaic disease. So ito, it wasn't until the invention of the electron microscope na nakita nila yung structure nung tobacco mosaic virus. So dito unang na-study na yung virus dito sa plant pathogen, unang pinag-aralan tong virus. So what are the characteristics of the virus? What are the characteristics? So they are infectious. They are not made up of cells, so that means they are acellular. And the only way they can survive and replicate is through becoming intracellular parasites. So they are obligate intracellular parasites. Since they're only made up of a few uh, molecules. Basically, they do not have ribosomes. So in their genes, they do not have the means for uh, their own reproduction. So they need the machinery of the host cell. So the virus have their own genetic material. So it's either they have DNA or RNA. Okay. So either or lang. And that genetic material is protected by a protein coat called a capsid. Okay, so that's true for all viruses. So meron siyang genetic material, either DNA or RNA, and then you have a protein coat. Okay, so once the virus enters the host cell, and then it takes over, so parang hostage na yung host cell, no? So it takes over the production of its own uh, viral components. So ginamit niya yung host cell para mag-produce ng uh, components na gagawa ng bagong virus. Okay? So you call the new virus particles, we call that virions. Okay? So itong mga virions, so they're made in the host cell by the assembly of viral components. So eventually, so you're producing a lot of these virions, and eventually they are aid, they are either they rupture the cell, so that causes the virions to spread out and infect new host cells, or they bud off. So kasama ng lipid membrane, uh, uh, they will exit the cell. So this will lead to another round of infection of another host cell. So actually, virus is all around us, no? In fact, sa tablespoon ng seawater, you have a million viruses there. Pero not all are human pathogens. So even if you drink that with all the viruses that are there, hindi ka naman magkakasakit, no? So yung viruses niyan, they can infect all types of cell. So we can have prokaryotic viruses na yun yung target niya. So pwede siya mag-target ng archaea or bacteria. In fact, what we call viruses that attack bacteria, these are called bacteriophages. Okay, so specific yung virus dun sa bacteria. Okay, so yeah, it can also uh, attack any other type of cell. So pwedeng fungi, pwedeng animals, pwedeng plants. So meron tinatawag na host range ang virus. So they will target a specific species lang or uh, a genus, pero usually one or a few species lang yung kaya niyang i-infect. So you call that a host range. So they can only infect one or a few species within the genus. So commonly one species lang, no? So having a wide host range is not common. So specific yan pag yung common cold na nag-attack sa humans, nagkakasipon yung humans, hindi yan pwede sa yung dog mo, hindi naman mahahawa yan. So ibang virus yung nagkakos ng mga disease sa dog. Okay? So it will only infect specific hosts and only specific cell types within those hosts. Pero pwede nga nangyari, di ba? Katulad nangyari sa COVID-19, pwede mag-jump ang virus pwede siya mag-mutate in such a way na pwede nang maging sakit sa humans. So we call that zoonosis. And maraming mga virus na ganyan. Hindi naman maraming virus. Yung sa epidemic, usually nagja-jump yan from one species to another. So example nga yung sa bat, nanggaling sa bat tapos nag-jump sa humans. May ano sila, may hypothesis sila na may intermediate host na nag-pass sa humans bago maging epidemic sa humans. So marami meron sa yung AIDS din galing sa mga primates, so chimpanzees. So nag-jump siya from chimpanzee to humans. Same thing with Ebola. So galing din yun sa chimpanzee. So may mga reports din na nag-ano siya sa pig eh. So yung galing Ebola, nag-jump siya sa pig. Nagkaroon ng ano eh, nagkaroon ng epidemic sa mga monkeys sa Philippines. So hindi tayo affected. So ang mga namatay, mga monkey sa I think it was in Mindanao. So monkeys lang yung affected nung Ebola variant na yon. And there were a few farm workers. So naapektuhan din yung mga pig, naging ano sila, nagkaroon ng Ebola yung pig. Yung mga farm workers, so mga apat sila, they were asymptomatic or hindi naman sila nagkaroon ng hindi sila nagkaroon ng malalang disease. They were able to scientists were able to look at their blood samples and yun nga na merong antibodies dun sa Ebola. So kaya nila nalaman na nagka ah, nag nagkaroon sila ng ah, viral